guys.
All right, we're now joined by Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 15, 5-Hour Energy, benefiting Avon Foundation for Women Chevrolet. You're fourth in points, have 2 wins this season, also the defending race winner. Talk a little bit about coming back to Talladega.
Yeah, it's it's neat to be able to come back here with new colors, supporting a great cause with the Avon Foundation, and also our new product with 5-Hour, the pink lemonade bottle. So couldn't ask for a better time to do both of those things, and just proud of my race team. We're still in the hunt. This is a big weekend for our sport, for our chase, and everybody involved in it. I mean, this can be a game changer. This is one of the tracks that can separate somebody and possibly win you a championship. I mean, it seems like each and every week, these first few, it's just been a point or two here, a point or two there. This is one that can swing 20, 30 points and take you out of the running or put you into it. So everybody's anticipating those last few laps here. I love racing here. It's so much fun. That's such a thrill to be able to go around there and know that the storm's brewing and all hell's fixing to break loose and you're fixing to be a part of it. It's a pretty neat situation to be in.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start with Ed.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Clint, there's begun to be some talk. Well, it's kind of coming down to 3 guys now. Where you're sitting, might you just be in perfect position to take advantage of that game changer, that infamous Talladega Scramble?
This track, I mean, I think this track is the reason why everybody in the chase is still in it. All it takes is, this is the only track that all of us can get wiped out, or maybe all of us but 1 or 2, or maybe the 12th guy can be the only one that doesn't get taken out. And if he does, he comes out of here with a whole new outlook, 10 or 15 points out of the lead, and all of a sudden have changed the look of things and breath of air, for the rest of the races. So this is a dangerous wild card race, I think, for the chase, and you just got to go out there and be as careful as you can, and also be aggressive as you can, and try to get yourself in a situation to win this thing.
And also, so many people come in here this weekend and talk about surviving Talladega. You tend to come in here kind of like you're having a good time, kind of that you kind of enjoy it this way. And also, seems like your philosophy is to run out front of the wrecks when you can. Is that correct?
Well, it is. It just depends on where you qualify. If you're up front starting a race, you want to stay up front and stay up there. If not, you don't want to be wiped out of this thing before halfway or even 3/4 of the way through. You've got to be able to get yourself to the end of the thing and then get yourself in position. It doesn't matter if you lead all the laps and run up front all day long. If you're not there when that checkered falls, nobody knows who led the most laps in most of these races anyway. Nobody even cares. They all care about who won and more importantly where this chase bunch finished, because that's what it's all about right now. So that being said, it is fun to be able to to be in my situation. I got to make up some ground, and this is the one track where I can make up a lot of ground on those guys. And you got to use it as an opportunity. Is that?
All right, we'll go to David.
David Caravella, NASCAR.com, way in the back, Clint. When you look at the way Brad won here in the spring, breaking away from Kyle instead of being content to be pushed, were you surprised that worked, first of all, and do you think that'll influence the way guys race in the final lap here this weekend?
Well, it just depends. I mean, it was, yes, if you could possibly, get broke loose, and then, it's like Burton and I, we got out there last time we won here. I think it was this race last year. Burton and I got gone on a restart, and if he could have shook loose from me, he would have drove off from me, and they wouldn't have caught us anyway. But there was a lot of situations right there in the spring race that I don't know necessarily was planned or whatever. You can take credit for whatever you want to, but at the end of the day, a lot of things just have to happen in your favor to get a good run here, and that's how it is. I mean, you've got to be able to be smart enough to get yourself in the right situation that you want to be in, but then you got to have enough luck to see that all play through. That way you can be in that situation. Yeah.
All right, let's go up front here to Bob, and then over here to Shannon.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Do you guys at Waltrip, and do you talk about whether you should lay in the back during the race to possibly avoid the wrecks, or do you not even want to think about trying to do that?
I mean, you just got to do whatever you got to do to survive this thing, especially, being in a situation we're all in this chase. It's so important, this one race and getting to the end of this thing and getting yourself a solid finish. Like I said, this one race could be the championship decider. I know that's hard to say with all the races that are after this, that follow this, but at the end of the day, all those races, you're just not separated by much anymore. Seems like the top 12, chase drivers are in the top 12 each and every week, and doesn't shake things up much. This place can there's guys that are 25th that can be. You look over at the end of the thing, and they're trying to pass you for the win. You just don't see that at the other racetracks after this. So this is the one that on everybody's radar. Everybody knows that, and that's why everybody's here.
All right, Shannon, go ahead. There's a microphone.
Hey, Shannon Spake, ESPN. One of the things that makes Talladega so unique is the position of the start-finish line. It's about 1,900 feet more than at a place like Daytona, for example. How do you think that extra racing area contributes to some of the finishes that we've seen here?
Well, it definitely does. I mean, just because of that, there's been a lot of different winners that if it was at the middle of the dry oval would have been a whole different story. However, you've got to have that in the back of your mind when you're coming off of 4 and you're thinking about where you're going to make your move and why and what's fixing to happen. You've got to remember that start-finish line is on down, 3/4 of the way down the straightaway, because it'll bite you. It almost bit me a year ago.
All right, let's go to Lee and then George.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Did you get your money back at Las Vegas?
No, they kept it. They're very good at that. That's why they have very nice casinos. But yeah, they kept most of it.
Did you bring any luck here this weekend? And can you talk about just in general? We touched on a little bit about what meaning the championship would be, but can you have you given yourself the chance to put yourself in that position and think of what it really might mean, not just for you, but for MWR, for the whole picture?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it'd be an awesome story if nonetheless, changing everything up, moving over to another family, another manufacturer, a new sponsor, everything that we've created this year that's new for us. It would be unbelievable to think about, being champions together our first year together. Very proud of, the job that Brian Patty has done, creating a great environment around me, assembled a great team, and certainly is a lot of fun week in and week out. We've been having fun, and that's what we're going to have this weekend. You just got to go into this thing. There's guys that are looking over their shoulders and are really freaking out about this, and at the end of the day, you're either going to go out there and get through this thing and have a chance to win, or you're going to get wrecked. It's going to be one or the other.
All right, let's go to George, then Marty, and then Carrie. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, Clint, right in front here. George Diaz with the Orlando Sentinel. Judging from what you've said earlier, I have a sense I know what your answer is going to be, but what are your thoughts on establishing some sort of knockout round system during the chase for guys that are kind of in the lower end of things?
I don't necessarily. I mean, in my opinion, I'm a race fan. I can see the promoter side of it. I would want to see all 12 guys having a shot at it going into Homestead. I mean, that's what makes sports, appealing, that makes fans come to it. So I don't want to see, in our sport, it'd be different than a football game or a baseball game or stick and ball sports where there's just two teams. If you had two cars out there at Homestead racing for a championship, you wouldn't have much of a race. I think I think as close as the competition is, I still think there's 5 or 6, 7 cars capable of getting themselves back in this thing with a wild race here at Talladega like we've seen before.
All right. Marty, go ahead.
Marty Smith, ESPN. You said a moment ago that a lot of guys are looking over their shoulders and whatnot. Knowing that, it's one of the things you really don't have a ton of control over your destiny. How does your approach mentally entering a weekend like this differ possibly than going to Loudon? Well,
I mean, you have so much more control there. I mean, don't get me wrong, you have control here. I mean, you can put yourself in bad situations, and you can cause the wreck. You know, that's one thing you don't want to do, is be the one that causes the wreck. So it's just, you have so much more room here than you do at Daytona to move around and be more aggressive. The grip level seems to be higher, and you have more confidence in your moves and the things that you do, you know, out there on the racetrack. And doing so, we tend to, in my opinion, get ourselves in trouble more here than we do at Daytona. So I think it's good. This is a good thing for our sport. It's a good thing for our chase, and this is a good thing to have in this chase race. A lot of guys, a lot of drivers and teams hate this part of it, but you know, at the end of the day, as a fan, this is what we all want to see. We want to see it, you know, shake things up, and hopefully it does, but not too much.
All right, go ahead, Kerry.
Kerry Estes, SI.com. Clint, you're an example of a driver who last year did not make the chase, but then won a chase race. What does a driver have to do to put aside the disappointment of not making the chase and realize you've still got 10 races that you can do something positive?
Well, I mean, for us, you know, especially for us in our situation, we were parting ways at the end of the year. There really wasn't a whole lot to look forward to, and we ended up winning that race, and it really just, it was pretty satisfying, and you know, it felt good to be able to win one last time with those guys, and by the way, win their last race that they've had. So you know, it was neat to be able to do that and, you know, go on.
All right, let's come up front to Claire. We'll take Claire, Monty, Dustin, and then Bran. Go ahead, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You know, with Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson and those that feel like they have a lot to lose here if something goes wrong, it seems like people are a little bit uptight as people come to Talladega and think about coming here and the game changer it could be. You have, I wouldn't say a cavalier attitude, but you seem more relaxed towards it. Do you think that works to your benefit, that you are like, heck, we know everything's going to be crazy and this might benefit me?
Well, I hope so. I mean, at the end of the day, I just have that mindset of it's either going to work or it's not. The neat thing about this, I mean, I'm telling you, when I first came here in those old cars, I mean, they've done such a good job with the safety aspect side of this. I mean, you can't lose sight of the fact that it is dangerous to go out there and crash and do those things, but they've done such a great job of creating a safe racing environment for us that it's really kind of changed your thought process. You know, when we crash, you know, we don't think about getting hurt anymore, and you know, used to, it hurt a lot when you wreck. So, you know, now that what we worry about is our point situation and hurting that, not necessarily you know, your body. So it's just kind of changed a little bit. You know, it's also, we've had the confidence of winning the last 2 races here. I mean, that's got to be worth something, you know, to yourself, your self-esteem and things like that. So you just go in here and race with confidence and, you know, put the cards on the table and see what happens.
All right, we'll go to Monty right here. Monty? Christian?
Monty Dutton, Gas and Gazette. Clint, it seems like to me that for the first half of the race, most people either want to be driving like hell up at front in case there's some wreck. It happens behind them mainly. That's a pretty safe place if you can hang on and not be held up. Or there's a lot of people that drop back to the back and cool their heels, and let's see how this thing shakes out, and we'll charge like crazy to the front at the end. My question is, if everybody wants to be at the front or the back, why in the hell are all those cars in the middle?
Well, unfortunately, you just find yourself like right there, and it is, I mean, I asked the same question. That's absolutely where I don't want to be. If I'm in the middle of this thing, you know, before halfway, I'm going to the back. I'll pull over on the apron and go to the back or do something. But the neat thing, here's what leads to all the anticipation of this thing, you know, especially as a driver and you know, the nervousness and things that we go through. You come here, and we're going to go out there and run 2 or 3 laps. That's all the practice we're going to do. You know, we used to come here and practice a ton. You know, we'd be out there in the racetrack, and there was things that we could do to, you know, change air boxes. We'd change, you know, different things on a car, and you would really work on the way your car sucked up to the other car and things like that. Now you go out there and make sure nothing's going to fall off of it, make sure that get the engine up to oil temperature and everything's going to be fine. It doesn't drag or do anything, you know, wild, and you put it on jack stands. You go there and you run 2 laps tomorrow. That's all the time we have on this racetrack, and then you throw us in that race where, you know, everything is so important, and it's you don't have that I miss to be honest with you, I miss running the nationwide race because I got, acclimated to all that stuff, all the craziness that I was fixing to get into at the end of the Cup race. I had already seen it one time, and you got used to it. It's a game changer when you get down the last 20, 30 laps of this thing, and unfortunately, we don't have that experience and practice going into it like we used to. So it's definitely different. I think that adds to the, nervousness a bunch.
All right, let's go to Dustin and then Bran.
Dustin Long, USA Today. Clint, you said earlier in talking about Brad's win in the spring, saying, well, you can take credit for whatever, and you kind of dismissed, I guess, the idea that he kind of thought much about how he made that winning move. Do you not think that he thought much about it? Was it more of a luck type of thing? I think one driver kind of said it looked like he just basically drove later into the corner, almost kind of missed the corner to kind of ride up the track and disconnect Kyle in that sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of things that drivers can get out and take credit for, a lot of different things, and it's at the end of the day, the only thing they can take credit for is they went out and beat all of us. I've been here. I wouldn't exactly say I'm the smartest human being in the world, and I've won this thing a few times myself, so it's let me tell you, it's a lot of luck goes into it, and you got to be able to strategize and get yourself in the right situation that you think you want to be in, but you got to have the luck to make it happen.
All right, let's go Bran, Stan, and then we'll finish up front. Go ahead.
Bran Strickland, Anniston Star. This race will back up 2 more weekends deeper into the chase next year. With the way it falls, or way it will fall next year, is that any more nerve-wracking on y'all, knowing that if a bad weekend does come about, there's less time to compensate?
I would say it'll be worse next year for sure. I mean, you're exactly right. You just don't, if you do stub your toe here, you don't have near as much ground to make it up. Right now we have, plenty of races left. But like I said, I mean, as close as this stuff is right now, it just doesn't, it seems like these other racetracks, whether it's a short track or an intermediate, it's not shaking the chase up much. I saw somebody, I think it's Darrell Waltrip, believe it or not, said something on Twitter. Nobody wins the chase, but every week there's another team that takes themselves out of it, and I think it's pretty much true. It seems like every week there's somebody else that makes a mistake and takes themselves out of it until you got a winner, and we all got to, especially my group, we got to make sure that we don't take ourselves out of it.
All right, go ahead, Stan.
Stan Creekmore back here with RPMtonight.com. To follow up on Monty's question, which way do you want to run? Do you want to run up front with everybody all race long, or because you're now in the chase, do you think it's better for you to run closer to the rear? And what does your sponsor have to say about any of this as well?
Well, it's a big thing, but they understand, especially right now. They definitely, I was at a dinner, a couple nights ago, and we were talking about, what are you going to do? You're going to get up to the front, you're going to ride in the back, and, as soon as you say, well, I might run in the back or have that thought process, like, well, man, we're going to win. You're like, well, that's why, that's my plan. That's why we're going to do that. I mean, here's the thing. If your car is fast and you got good speed and you qualify up front, you need to stay up front. If you don't have the sheer speed and your car's, not as good, you qualify, 20th or worse, you don't want to ride there. You need to ride in the back and wait for it to sort out, because riding right there in the middle and you get caught up in a wreck, before halfway, you've completely wiped yourself out of a chance out of a decent run and a championship probably. You continue to let Jimmy Johnson and his team get away, from you. This is an opportunity for all of us to run them boys back down and get back in the thick of things. And if they get out of here with a good finish, that's I'd say the championship is going to be hard to overcome.
All right, good.
Roger Holtzclaw, SpeedwayMedia.com. To follow up on that, do you and your MWR teammates already have a preconceived plan of what you're planning to do, run up front or in the back, or is the plan to wait and let the situation dictate itself?
Man, my plan was to take off at 10 a.m. this morning and be here to see you guys at 11 a.m. That's my plan for Talladega. Have a damn good time all weekend.
All right, thank you, Clint. Good luck this weekend.